A very good evening to all the viewers who are joining me at Kopi Events. This is your host, Vance, as usual. Before we start, ta-da! Okay, I'm covering the face. Okay, this Kopi Events. Thank you so much. It's a warm coffee, so you have to drink it while it's warm. All right, thank you so much again. Like I said, yesterday we joined in for Kopi Events and we talked with Dr. Dinesh Nair, who is a very well-known cardiologist. We talk about health topics, we talk about the heart and so on and so forth. But today I have another guest speaker who's joining us in another couple of more minutes, and it's none other than Natalie Indra. So she's quite well known in the market, especially in the property market. She's been there for almost 15 years, if I'm not mistaken, or 16 years. So she's going to come on board, and we're going to talk a lot of stuff that is related to the properties. And if someone who's trying to planning to get a home, we always call it a home, sweet home, right? But before I pull her up, I always have this thing in my mind, of course, most of us have all left their properties and so on and so forth. But the terms that we use or we hear sometimes it's a bit scary, right? Like we talk about ballooning, we talk about market timing, we talk about surrounding property value, we talk about down payment, the BTO, build to order, even the BSDs, or called the buyer's stamp duties, and MSR, mortgage service ratio, so much of things, and of course ABSD as well, additional buyer's stamp duty. Sometimes when we hear all these, you're like, you really get confused. But I think all you need is a very good friend, and that's why today we have Natalie Indra, a housing consultant, to come up, and she's going to share with us terms of another expertise. So I call it Ask the Experts. So she's going to share with us a lot of stuff. But before I even going to bring up, of course, there's few videos that I would love to show you all, which is a testimonials of hers. I had a chat with Natalie about a couple of days back, and then we discussed so many things, and I learned a lot of stuff as well in the property. So which is good, it's eye opener for me. Okay, I'm going to pull her up first, and then probably we will see some of her videos that she have done so professionally, and I'm too heads off to her. All right, so let's pull Natalie up. Hi, Natalie. Where are you? Hi, Natalie.
Hello. Hi, Hans. How are
Hi.
you?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm very well, and cheers to you.
All right, so as usual, can we just show our cup? Ta-da. Thank
Yes,
you.
cheers, Vance. Thank
Yes,
you for
yes.
giving the opportunity for me to share with many of your fans and to is tuned into your show. This is so exciting.
Thank you so much, Natalie. Of course, you had a busy day, I guess, but despite that, you also joined us within that busy schedule of yours. To our viewers, to actually, if there's some of the viewers might have some questions to ask you, and of course, we're going to talk a little bit on the property to understand better. So, are we ready to move on, Natalie?
Absolutely. Yeah, feel free to ask, and I'll be happy to share as much.
Okay, Natalie. Before we go on, I know there is a testimonial by one of your client, and I think that was a very good testimonial which I watched about a few days back. So I'm going to show the viewers that testimonial first before we even go into a lot of topics that we want to talk about. So shall we go out with the video first before we come back and prepared a lot of questions for you, and you can also share about your expertise with us.
Okay,
All right,
let's
Natalie.
do that.
Thank you. Here we go. So let's watch this a quick video of testimonials from for Natalie has gotten up. So let's look at that right now.
Hi, I'm Natalie, and I'm at Sunglade Condo with Mr. and Mrs. Benson. Hello.
Hello.
So Natalie was introduced to us by a friend who was also in the market looking for a new home and who needed help with his the sale of his flat. He mentioned to us about how dynamic and how capable she was, and we decided to give her a call.
We were trying to sell our old house after buying this one here. The ABSD deadline was coming up and we were getting a little bit desperate. Our old agent had really been trying for quite a while to sell, but he wasn't able to bring in anyone who would even put in a bid. So finally we brought in Natalie. She came in, she managed our expectations. She told us what we could expect, who our buyers were. And after about, I believe, 2 to 3 weeks, we actually had sold the house. So very smooth.
she's honest and she's trustworthy and she's capable. So she knows. She's been in the business for quite some time. She knows what to do when buyers are struggling to sell, and also she's very honest with you. Even if it's good news, she's direct. Even if it's bad news, she's very direct with you. So you know that she's honest from day one. It's very hard to find in agents in Singapore actually, and it's something that Natalie has. In fact, the day that she came in, even before we signed the contract with her, she was already looking around, she was styling the house, she was taking pictures. So, she basically took control, she knew how important it was to us. And then she knew she had to deliver on it as well, on her commitment and her promise. So that is something that is very important when you're working with an agent.
Just like Mr. and Mrs. Benson, if you do need someone to sell your house, call me, Natalie.
All right, so that was a very good testimonial for you, Natalie. Thank you so much for that video.
Yes, it was. The clients were great as well. Very, very lovely couple who were very open to whatever I told them. They were very cooperative. And I think that's very, very important with a client and agent relationship as well.
Thank you, Natalie. Thank you. So let's get started up with our questions that's coming up. And also viewers out there, if you do have any questions for Natalie, please do ask us. And I would make sure that, we make sure that we try to get the answers for you. So if you do have any questions, please ask us as we proceed with our talk today, right? Okay, Natalie. I always been a big fan of properties and so on and so forth. But of course, things are always evolving. There's always a question that's always come into our mind is market timing. People say wait for things be perfect, but the question is when will the perfect time comes, and how will one know this is the perfect time, not last month was the perfect time. So what is your advisors, or what is your expertise, and what will your advisors to people who are listening to this?
I think when it comes to buying a property, there is no right time. It's all about when are you ready, when are you financially secure as well. Because the more you try to time it out, you just realize the prices keep increasing, and prices have literally increased all these years, despite whatever has happened to Singapore. Since SARS, people thought the price will drop. Actually, a few months later, it went up. And then with all the several cooling measures, prices are still going up. Even with the pandemic, prices are still going up. And now it's all the more going up because with the recovery period and lots of foreign investors coming to Singapore, which is looked upon with great safety, great stability, the very fact that our government has done so much to be able to maintain the pandemic in this country, people have increased their level of confidence in wanting to invest in Singapore. So with all these foreign investors coming in, there is no signs of the property price going down. So if you think about it, how to time something like that? And the more we time, the only thing that will never go down is our age, So the more you wait, there's only a number of years you can also take a home loan for, right? So the more you wait, the lesser years you're able to take a home loan, your monthly installment will only increase. So if you think about it, waiting it out or not waiting it out, you rather enter in as young as possible, in fact, so that you're able to leverage on your age. So that's the strategy in property investment.
Thank you, Natalie. Of course, that also be one of the few questions that people will have then in the mind. But when it comes to property, I'm not going to direct to anyone, but in the past that I always hear there's few that always have some not so good relationship with the agent or the housing consultants, or even for the matter of the buyers as well. How do you handle difficult customers? Sometimes we won't say it's difficult customers because they want the best for them, they want the best value, they want the best protection for their house, the family members, kind of stuff. But how do you? You have to be very composed. You got to be going all out, late nights and early mornings probably. Different time sets, your family time, and how do you actually, is it a kind of a passion that you have, or is it something that must be in you so that you can able to deliver that? How do you do that? Can you
I
share
think
with us?
you're very right to say that when you do something that you don't look upon as your job, and when you do it out of passion, there's never a dreadful moment. And property has been my passion. And I realize I've been in the line now coming to 16 years. It's more than what I've ever done in any other industry.
Okay.
And I'm also a very people's person as well. I love meeting people. So it's a marriage of both people and passion. And that's where property comes in. So it's my three P's, people, passion, property. So when you do it with passion and sincerity and dedication and commitment, your clients will already sense it, that there is so much of transparency. It's like a marriage. When you go in with commitment, then why should it not work out? So it works as a two-way approach where I, of course, will also ask my clients to be committed to me as much as I'm also committed to them, you know. So I'm very glad, thankful, and blessed to say that with these qualities, I have come this far.
Thank you, Natalie. Thank you for that as well. So now we are going to go into a little bit of the questions, but of course, as members or viewers out there, you can actually welcome to ask Natalie any of that. But I have a few questions for you, Natalie, and I think that's what a lot of time people will always have that in their mind. If someone wants to buy a condo, example, right? Do they have to be a multi-millionaire to buy a condo? Because all these prices are above 1 mil. I remember my dad used to tell me, when you wanted to buy a landed property back in 1970s, probably it's only about 50,000 or 60,000, and HDPs was probably 20 or 30,000. But as the years goes by, things didn't get
We're
lower, but
talking
things get even
millions.
millions right now. Probably, I'm not sure what will happen to during our. I mean, when we are 70 or 80 or maybe in another 100, maybe the houses can be 5
So
or
it's
10
time
million.
to
I'm not
plan for
sure.
our children.
Yes. So what are we looking at? What are we given? So is it a right time to wait or not a right time to wait?
I
You
mean,
need to be a
there's
millionaire.
always, yeah. So once you are so right with these questions, and there's this very simple concept called inflation, and property is always used as a tool to hedge against inflation, because for a simple thing that it's extremely stable in a country like Singapore that is government intervened, unlike many other countries in the world where your properties are left unconstructed in the middle, you know not to mention any specific countries, but I can safely say that any other property outside Singapore, you do know in Singapore for sure everything has been authorized, approved, so much of paperwork involved, so much of regulations to follow. In fact, before you even take a loan, you have to get your approval going. So with all these checks, there's only more sureness in terms of purchasing a property in Singapore. And yes, prices are on the rise. I mean, what was the price of a chicken rice before, right? I mean, think about it, it was just less than $1. And now what is the price? But we're all still paying for it. We're all still eating it, So it's just with that concept that if you don't buy now, then you're just going to end up losing out. But I think more than that, we now need to adopt this strategy of trying to leave a legacy behind for our young ones. Like how as much as our parents would have also had that mindset, but the awareness was not so much set in. Now, a lot of us are much more educated, much more aware, so much of social media information flying around at your fingertips, at the scroll of your finger. You're sleeping, also, you can scroll through property guru. Information is, it's snap like that. So, with information at your fingertips, um, what I'm trying to say is that people are a lot more aware, and therefore that's just not going to stop people from purchasing. But we need to know what is our objective of purchasing. And if we are going to be purchasing for the next generation or all for your retirement, then all the more property would be a good tool and a safe tool to go for. But must also understand that property is not a short-term investment, especially in Singapore. Property is bought and owned for a long term. So you must go in with that perspective. You can't expect to buy today and hope to profit tomorrow. Then that's not the product for you. And I do know my clients who they have bought and they've bought one for own stay, one for investment, and they're still so happy, especially when they cash out for their retirement. So that's possibly the mindset that we should start adopting.
Thank you, Natalie. Of course, we try to understand that. But of course, if someone who's just starting to work after his education and planning to go into property, either it can be investment But even when we talk about investment, or I think one should have something over their head, right? We call it a roof over the head is very important.
Yes.
Is there a certain age? Because most of the people will be having this in their mind, like when is a good time to buy, or what age shall I buy? Will I be able to get bank loan? Will I be able to use my CPF? There's always this confusion. But if you can put it in a nutshell, your expertise, or maybe people might have some questions, burning questions in their mind, probably they'll contact us. But what is your advices to them? How one should maneuver from this area?
I think as long as you are employed, you are receiving some form of CPF contribution, or even if you are self employed and if you are having a good contribution in terms of your notice of assessment and your income tax, and you feel that you do have a good amount of cash reserves. And in your mind itself, with this kind of a financial background, you automatically will have the appetite to invest. The question is what to invest in. So when that comes, then it really depends where you need to engage a professional and to do the math as to find out, okay, I'm at this age right now. Do I really have sufficient down payment? Perhaps speak to a banker, do a loan assessment to say that, okay, maybe if I'm 25 years old, my salary is about 5,000 or 10,000. How much of loan am I entitled to? At the same time, that would also help you plan, okay, so if I'm going to be taking a loan of this amount, do I have the down payment, and to work towards that. But what some of my clients do is that they also do get financial support from their parents who are definitely very supportive with their objective, because if it's for investment, then why not, right? So they put their foot in first, and then
Natalie,
they
just hang on a sec.
have
Yeah.
this and that people start, of course they split accordingly.
Natalie, sorry, we just
Bottom
broke you.
line, even you're clear.
Sorry, Natalie, because we lost you for the past 10 seconds because there was some interferences on the connection. Maybe you want to repeat that again, please? Thank you.
I think then it's always good to do a very simple financial assessment, and also with a consultant, the agent, to sit down, just do a basic math to know whether to meet the desire of your.
Okay. We do definitely have some internet connections issues, technical issue, but not to worry. We are going to go for a short video on the second part that I wanted to show all the viewers, and then probably we'll come back again for the next part of the question that we have lined up. So let's watch another video that's done by Natalie. I like her videos especially because it's very professional, it's very nice, and she always have this smile. Natalie, so will you be always like that, always smiling around? Okay, we are going to see the video and then we're going to come back here very soon.
Hi, I'm Natalie. If you're looking for a unit just beside Punggol Waterway, this home is for you. While walking into Waterway Cascadia, one may easily mistake it to be a private condominium. They have a foyer that doubles as a pickup point, which is decked in marble. The architecture looks super futuristic with alternating balconies and white boxes framing the units. Welcome to this beautiful premium unit that has just turned 5 years old. Tastefully renovated with sleek carpentry and warm cove lights to exude a soothing ambiance. The highlight of the living area is a 3-dimensional feature brick wall and a customized bar counter with fitted shelves. The open concept kitchen allows more light into this unit, making it brighter and well ventilated. It's well equipped with modern appliances and lined with top and bottom cabinets. Flushed with natural light from the full height windows, the master bedroom has plenty of space to fit a huge bed and side tables. Step out to your private balcony that is exclusive to only a few units and enjoy the unblocked view. My Waterway at Punggol is surrounded by lush greenery. Sumang LRT is beside the unit to bring you to Punggol MRT and Waterway Point in just 2 stops. This new development with great architecture and a beautiful landscape could just be perfect for your family looking for amenities and convenience at your doorstep. Call me Natalie for a viewing.
Okay, there was another video of Natalie. Hi, Natalie. So, okay, sorry, we
Hello,
lost you a
Hans.
while.
We're all good now? Yes,
Yeah,
I'm here.
okay.
Have been here.
But this video is very nice again because I just showed to all the viewers. It is very well done. Maybe you want to talk a little bit of that, maybe not too much because we have other questions to come along also.
I always enjoy doing videos for my houses. Number one, it's to also show the commitment to the owners that I'm taking the extra step to putting their house in the market, giving it much more exposure than just the normal platforms. But of course, the house must also be videoable.
Okay.
So this unit is beautiful, and it's in a very new development. So I really felt that a video would only do justice to the house. And I also do that for many, many houses as well. So yeah.
Okay. So there's always a smile and a very warm, friendly of yours to welcome people, right? I think that's one of the reasons.
Yes,
Very
yes.
important.
In person as well.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
But on a side note, but I know sometimes customers or people who always want to buy. I mean, in any kind of industry, sometimes they can be a little difficult. All right, they can be very difficult. They can be a little difficult. Even when we want to buy something, we always want the better price, a good price. So how do you actually stay composed, so relaxed? And I always seen your videos in the past, and when I talk to you, I also know that you are very, very composed, very calm. How do you maintain that, or how do you do that? Is there some kind of meditation you do? Because sometimes when a lot of things just come in to us, sometimes we tend to, end of the day, we are all humans with hormones and chemicals. So, how do you manage that and turn a very successful friends that you have created?
Because I always keep in mind that a home is a very big ticket item. It's not kacang putih,
Okay.
and especially when you're engaging a professional, you can't let emotions get into the way. And when a professional like me, for example, I always back up my statements and what I share with my clients with facts and figures. So there's no reason to get emotional out of it. And I'm just not plucking figures out from the air or just sharing information which I came up with, but basically what's in the media, what's been proven and tested, and what's basically the market. So when you show them all this, I don't see why the clients would want to react. But then, of course, there's always this kind of cold feet, we call it, before committing to a particular unit, which is very understandable. So
Okay.
this is where, of course, the eventual decision is for the client. But when you establish a good relationship, and from the beginning itself, if you've done all you're required to do, then those little elements can definitely be managed at the end of the day. And if they really miss it, they really miss it. Then they'll regret, yeah, why I didn't make that decision. Yeah, I should have listened to her. Yes, I should have gone in when she asked me to go in, yeah. But then when there's an ayah, there's always like, okay, I'm ready now. So yeah, everyone has an experience, and every client for me is someone who's extremely important. I pay very, very special attention to my client relationships because these are people who are not just buying homes, but they're also going to be referring me to many, many out there as well. And my purpose is just to help people with their homes. So when I go in with this focus, um, I have been very happy to serve many out there.
I think you said it very well, Natalie, because I think we all need friends. I think nobody love to be sold. I mean, that's what I feel. I give you an example, right? If you walk through MRT station, but not now, probably during the non-COVID period, you see people selling something or tissues or even for the fact of anything, right? But there's always a connection. I think I believe strongly on the connection. And when they looked at you, they look at your eyes and with genuine smile, and then they mean real good stuff for you, or even for the not to just to get that extra probably like a couple of dollars only, but most of the time it will attract my attention, and if it attract my attention, then I will definitely will support. I think that's very important. But unfortunately, in a lot of other service sectors, I mean, when we talk about service sectors, any can be service sectors, right? We can talk about F&B, we can talk about sales, or we can talk about products or equipments, items, or whatever. But I think that it has to come from the bottom. It has to come from the bottom. People who just trying to go out there for quick buck, I think probably will not be able to make it. I mean, that's my
Yeah,
personal
very
comment that I'm
true.
saying. It
Very
may
true.
be very, very direct to some, but that's the
No,
truth,
but
right?
that is the truth. I mean,
Yeah.
people can smell if you're in it for the money. You know,
There you
it's
go.
so
There
easy
you go.
because there's absolutely no sincerity involved.
Yeah.
And I've also had instances where I've just met the clients, and after doing the math, I've even walked away telling them to not sell their home. Whereas any other agent who is really, really hungry and who's just wanting to make the sale would not even be looking at it. But for me, it's my client needs a roof above their head. So I walked away from clients telling them, no, don't sell now. And they actually look at me with shock. Why are you telling me that? But that is the truth because I don't want you to sell without planning properly, planning your finances, and not be without a roof. So until you have secured and known and are confident of your purchasing plans, then we shall talk about your sale. So that already creates a level of confidence between me and them. And there are also clients who also go on a nice U-turn and come back with other agents, and they come back, which I am more than happy to still welcome them and not have that bitterness that, oh, they actually, after talking to me, they still approach another agent. No, because I believe as long as you're professional, there should be no emotions involved. Your objective is purely to help people with their homes, and that should be met. So, and I also learn from mistakes. Okay, why particularly this deal didn't happen, or why this client walked away, or what is it that this client didn't buy from me. So I look at all this to learn myself, but sometimes also the element of luck lah. Yeah.
I think you said it very well. I totally agree with you on this statement because I do experience in sales as well. I mean, I got over about 15 years of sales. I was doing a part of a sales in my previous employment. When someone just go through the dollars and cent, like what you say, can smell. And I think that's often go with a bad rapport. Once a bad rapport is developed, sorry, anyone you try to change it probably will not be able. So I always tell my guys that it's very important that the service have to come from the bottom of the heart. I mean, of the end of the day, it's dollars and cents. But if you can do that, people are very happy to get something from themselves, and they're happy to reward the individual as well. Having said that, okay, now we're going to go into a little bit on stuff like what kind of a property should I invest in? I mean, if let's say there's a lot of rules, but today we're not going to go to the rules and regulations and procedures and these short forms of a lot of stuff that earlier I told. But it's very strange. If you have an HDP, you can buy a condo, but if you have a condo, you can't buy an HDP. I mean, there's some protection in the market. Am I right to say that?
Yes, there's, which is a good thing. It's a good thing that we have all these protection, if you ask me. And as an agent, even I'm more happy when there are more measures, because it regulates the industry even more. It stops people from speculating because property is not about speculation. So yes, so with regards to what type of property should I invest in, it really depends. But we need to understand HDB dwellers, HDB is not a form of investment. It's not bought as a form of investment. Unless you're telling me that I've bought a BTO and I'm wanting to upgrade to a higher lifestyle, to a better lifestyle, and to go into private property, then yes, that is your stepping stone to investment. But people don't buy a HDB for investment. A HDB is never an asset. It's public housing, So that's the whole idea why Singapore is one of the countries in the world with public housing, which many other countries like to model after. And we house millions of people. So how can it ever be for investment? But of course, yeah, like, in the media this past month or so, there have been so many HDBs that have gone past 1 million and all that. Yes, of course, because if you build a HDB right smack in town, and these are premium locations, don't forget the price you buy is also much more than houses you buy in the outskirts. So there's always another side to the story. But if you are a HDB dweller and if you want to invest, it really again depends on your eligibility. People also don't only look at residential properties, they also look at commercial properties. So again, it depends on what kind of an appetite that you have. So properties comprise of residential and commercial. And in commercial, it also comes into industrial and commercial as well. So your knowledge has to be there, which is why you really need to sit and talk with a professional, for them to share with you what are the various types of products. Then, of course, to look back and do a simple form of calculation on terms of your financing, because when you own a property and when you want to enter into another property, there's an additional tax, and we call it the additional buyer stamp duty if you're buying another residential property. Of course, if you're currently paying a loan and then you want to take another loan, then of course the loan quantum is not maximum. You can only borrow to a certain percentile. Therefore, you need to cough up a lot more cash. So there's a lot more calculation required, a lot more awareness, not just, yeah, I already own one property now. I can, let's go and buy another condo like tomorrow, not that kind of a thing. Because property is for long-term investment, so one has to do it calculatively and properly with a good professional.
It's so much knowledge to learn about, like today. Thank you so much for joining us, because we all know that it's very important to have one over our head, but also in another way that how do you grow, in terms of your financial is also very important. So that's one of the questions that we wanted to ask you. But but do you believe that that everyone should have more than one property? Do you think it is ideal? I mean, in terms of course, we all have different income brackets, the low, the middle, and the high, and kind of stuff. But if someone who has that extra, cash just sitting down there, and do you think it's a good time to go in and invest? Because there's a lot of new properties are coming in right now. Even in my area that I'm staying in the west area, so many apps. I'm like, wow, so many apps. Like, which one is like, where should we go shopping? What will your direction be? For people like, even for myself or even for the viewers who are just like, what's next? What should we do? Shall we wait for the phase 3 to then we go and buy, or after the COVID, or before COVID? There's always a lot of things that are going in their mind. So what will
So
your
I think, Vance,
yeah.
yes, you're right. In fact, during the pandemic last year, via Zoom itself, people are buying. People are buying. I in fact sold via Zoom as well. I was quite surprised at how buyers were ready to just accept the new norm, because we are so used to seeing, touching, feeling, smelling the house before we even commit. I mean, it's a home, right? But there are people who just know what they want, because at the end of it, they know they're going to renovate. But then when you buy a new launch, it's even better, because you're looking at the show flat. You have everything at your fingertips, the video, the floor plan, So in fact, when you walk into the show flats, you are not even literally seeing the layout which you may end up buying, because how many layouts can they have as show flats in the how many layouts can they have in the show flat, right? So you are already buying documented proof, so people confidently going. I mean, so that is the beauty of Singapore for you, right? So for a very simple reason, now when you want to invest, people enter with the mindset they want to go in low, and naturally everything dropped during the pandemic. Stocks and shares dropped. People were all looking at opportunities, and then there's also this group who were very scared and holding on to their cash, but you realize the rich are the ones who are buying, because they literally smelt opportunity. Whenever there's a crisis, there is an opportunity. This is basically a millionaire's tagline, Warren Buffett's tagline. And where is the opportunity? The interest rates are at its all-time low. Right now the interest rates are as low as 1.2%, and we've never seen this kind of interest rates. You put your money in the bank, you're not going to be seeing that kind of returns at all. So if I've got, say, an X amount of money, 200 to 300,000 cash sitting in the bank, I'm young, I can easily get a loan, I'm employed, then you should be thinking about property, you know. And gone are the trends where I want to live in a big home, because when I have a big home, I need to have a big family. When I have a big family, I need to hire a maid. There's a lot more expenses involved. But right now, families are shrinking, and space is not going to give you money. But property, but just purchasing a property, whether it's for investment or for own stay, it's all about the entry price, and then knowing when you should exit at the right time, cashing out, rolling it back again into the market. That's basically the way to go. It's not about, yeah, this layout very small lah, the kitchen very small lah, no lah, don't buy lah, we wait lah. You wait, then the units will be sold off the shelf, and then the prices will only go up. You will only grow much younger, So it's a never-ending cycle. So I meet a lot of clients who get very frustrated because they go like, "Ah, yeah, I should have just bought it then, lah. I should have bought it then. Then you bought it then would have already been 3 to 5 years ago. Believe it or not, when you buy a new launch, from the time you buy it and from the time the unit is been ready for you to collect your keys, you would have already made money. So these are the things that people don't know, and they think that, yeah, we shall wait lah, we shall wait, but how long can we wait? They don't understand the underlying perspective, and they end up losing the opportunity. So this is something that we always need to keep in mind. Time and tide waits for no man.
True.
There is no right time to buy a property, just like cars lah. The COE prices are still going up, people are still buying cars, what
Yeah,
you know
yes, that's true.
but it's not an asset, it's a liability. Property is an asset. So why not? Why have that fear? Why have that stigma? Because at the end of it, it is the safest form of investment, and it's still a home. So it is a double bonus, right?
Again, you said it very well, so well that what should do. One when they have that extra liquid or rather the cash in hand, or in the bank, rather than sitting it and you put it into something. But also when it come to I mean, how much does it cost to buy a house in Singapore? Is it a bracket or in terms of age? I'm sure it should be around 21 and above, or is there an age for
Okay.
a person
So coming
or
back
something?
to that question which you raised earlier, how old
Yeah.
do I have to be to buy a property in Singapore? Well, it really depends. As long as you are employed in a stable employment, as long as you've got CPF contribution, or you're receiving a consistent salary, as long as you are paying your income tax promptly, because these are the documents that's required for you to be able to obtain a good loan amount or a confident loan amount, or for the bank to be confident to lend you the money. As long as you're having all this background stable, in terms of your financial background stable, and you do have a decent amount of cash savings in your account that you feel that I'm good to invest in, then yes, you definitely should enter the market. So it's very hard to say what particular age, because sometimes I've got 21-year-olds who are very early investors. They probably invested when they were in their uni days, but they invested in other products. And then they accumulated, some of them, be so surprised, have more than $100,000 in cash savings. And they're 21, 22. So what they do when they're employed, they leverage on their age because they're employed. So using their age, they get a bank loan because you can loan up to the age of up to 65. So imagine the number of years they can loan up to. And the fact that they are getting a good, decent salary of 5,000, their monthly installment can be much, much lower than what you and I would be paying if we are to go and invest in a property now.
Mm.
you know and when you rent out that property, the rental income is so much higher than their monthly installment. And what is the balance called? It's called passive income. And they're easily making, I'm telling you, $500 to $1,000 as passive income. And then 5 years later, that property price will appreciate, and they will easily cash out the down payment that they put in. So it's called using other people's money. When I say other people's money, means your tenant's money, like, because your tenant pays the monthly installment, not any other
Yeah, that's
people's
right.
money. So we call it other people's income. They pay your monthly installment. You are not paying the monthly installment. They pay, and then you leverage on the price appreciation, and then you take that money out. Whether you want to keep it later to stay in, it's totally up to you. But to answer your question, there's no specific age. But in fact, the younger you go, the better. So this is where we need to educate our younger generation to always have that investment mindset, to look at property as an investment, because people still fear in terms of buying a property, and they feel it's so unreachable. They feel it's only meant for the rich man. They feel that it's never them. Oh, my parents live in HDB, so I also must go down the HDB route. I've got clients who never thought they can afford private properties because they've just never had that mindset. They thought, oh, from four-room, I go and buy an executive maisonette or jumbo. For them, that's like wow. They just never imagined staying in a condo. In fact, I just met them over the weekend, and they were so happy because they owned a four-bedroom executive condo in Sembawang. And that property itself, has appreciated about $400,000 from the time they bought it. So they were like getting anxious, like, hey, Nat, how are people all selling? Should I sell? So again, we did a review. So they are looking at buying a landed, so we are still in discussion. But these are the kind of examples. This is a client that never was confident in owning a private property. They own it and now they're getting excited. So that's literally what we should share with our younger generation.
I think you are getting me excited as well. Probably we
You
should talk
should, you
about
should.
this.
We'll have a chat after this.
Yeah, but I think it's very important. I mean, education is very important. I think communication is very important. I mean, a lot of people will never know about this. They always have this not skeptical, but it's always a safety bracket. What happens if I lose my job? Will I
Always,
be able to pay?
can I? Sure not,
Yeah,
sure not. No
yeah.
lah, so much money lah. Yeah.
But I'm gonna ask you something. I mean, this is my personal view of question, right? So let's say if someone gets a condo, and down on the road on the third year or fourth year, all right, he loses his job. What can he do? Because probably that could be another worry that in this in this current era where it can be unpredictable, but this is the best time to invest, in time to get yourself self-educated, improve, because this is what we call the downtime. But it isn't really a downtime. We will call it the high time, because that's where you're going to make things that fabulous for you. But what will your advice be for someone who buys a house and after fourth year he loses his job, is worried? What can he do?
You see, Vance, this situation can happen to anyone. Doesn't
Yeah.
mean that you need to buy a condo and then if you lose your job, what happens? You can even be staying in a HDB and that can also happen, touch wood.
Okay.
So this is something beyond control, which is why when you do investment, you need to leverage in a way that you leverage within your comfort and you always have backup, which means your professional consultant must be able to educate you or to be there to tell you there must always be a form of a buffer as your reserve funds to cover you, to tide you through at least about 6 months, just in case you're not employed. So these 6 months will help you rule. Then that should help you make your decision because 6 months is really good enough time for you to decide whether you want to hold that property or sell that property. So I'm already running 6 months. I'm already 3 months into my timeline and I'm only left with 3 months to buffer. Then you decide really cannot hold, then you sell. But what I'm trying to tell you is that this mindset can happen to any property you are in. But when you are investing, you must go in with a wise sense of knowledge, and you must never overstretch yourself. And I think this is a mindset that one should have for any form of investment, for that matter, not just property. These are simple, basic rules, like rules of thumb, I call it, for any form of investment. You don't literally pay through, you know, your nose to for your house. Again, a concept that I always would tell my clients, especially in their 60s, if uncle and auntie you're still going to work just to pay your monthly installment, then I'm so sorry, I need to sit down and talk to you because that's not what life is all about. Going to work just to pay a monthly installment. So same thing for investment as well. If you know that you're going to be dry, because sometimes if you buy something for investment, assuming you rent it out, you must always understand that sometimes the tenant may move out, the tenant may leave the country, the tenant may lose his job. So there must always be a number of months where you need to be able to tide through. But and then to a certain extent, when you are also collecting your rental income, you also must exercise some form of self-discipline. Lah. You spend every dollar, then after that you can't come running to me and say, Natalie, I'm done. This is something where I think it has to work hand in hand. As a property investor as well, you need to also exercise personal responsibility.
I'm going to tell you something very honestly at this point of time. I'm not sure whether I'm the host today. It looks like I'm now going to buy property and you are explaining to me. I mean, it's very good. I mean, I can feel it as well. All right. I'm not just saying it because I'm the host, but I think someone should feel super comfortable, able to answer all questions, even if the person doesn't buy, even if the person walks off, the person remembers of you. I think that is a very important experience, I think, right now. But unfortunately, I want to come back to the same positioning or the standpoint, which I feel that, sometimes when we approach to service people, we all service people in a some sort, right? If someone doesn't get something from someone, that person gets very agitated, very angry,
Very
very
bitter,
sour,
very
bitter,
sad.
and kind of stuff, right? But you see, that could be a basic line of testing, right? The client can be just testing to see whether are you really after my money or are you really there for my service. I mean, of course, we want the both worlds. All right, but I think the comfortability is very, very important, because for me it's a human connection. If I don't feel the energy with someone and I'm just like, you know what, that's it, let's go for another one. So I think that's very important. So I think that you are having that in the whole, in terms of that, going all out to that, for your clients and whoever that's watching right now. I think Natalie is done very well. I think so she'll just she'll approach her, and contact number is just here, which is 9067853. I'm sorry, I'm flashing your number all over the social net, but I'm sure you also do that, right?
Yes, it's okay.
Okay. Please, yes, anything about inquiries on housing loans, not loans, but do you
Housing
handle loans
matters.
also? Okay, housing matters. Natalie will be the
I
best
will
person. Don't.
refer them to the professionals.
Yes, there you go.
I
Don't
don't do
message.
loans.
Okay, yeah. Don't message her and ask her for coffee and all that. All right. If she tells me that, I no, okay.
Online, it's fine.
Okay. Yep. Yep. So this is the thing. We talk about that, and now we're going to come back to the type of investment that we talked about. Can one have more than one property in Singapore? Is it possible?
Oh,
Can
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. In fact, it's called multiplying your property portfolio, just like insurance, right? I mean,
Yep.
everyone has got more than one policies. But of course, property is a higher end product.
Mm.
So it again depends on how you plan it out. So which is why I love meeting young people. I'm not saying that you and I are not young, we are all very young. But what I mean is young in terms of property investment. That means they've never bought a property before. They're very fresh, they're very green. You know, I've got even 40, mid 40s, late 40s who've never bought property, So they're all very excited, anxious, don't know what to buy. Or should I just be conservative, buy my HDB, fully pay it off and sit down in it? And in case if I lose my job, then I've got nothing to worry. I still have got a roof above my head. So it all comes down to awareness, as I'm telling you. But to answer your question, you definitely can own more than one property. So this is where if you have a family and if you're planning to get married, expand your family, you and your partner need to plan it out exactly. What exactly is the direction we are looking at? So I always give my clients a 5-year horizon in terms of their timeline. And I'm saying that don't plan it around you. Plan it around your family. Plan it around your children. Because if you have got children who are young, then right now it's preschool. Then tomorrow will be primary school. Then after that, secondary school. So you don't want to be tied into a plan that you're not able to move accordingly. And then right now we're living near our parents. Tomorrow something else may happen. Right now I'm in Singapore. Tomorrow I may want to migrate. So always have a 5-year horizon and do it with that mindset. You will never end up getting stressed. But again, yes, there are clients who definitely own more than one property when they plan it well, especially of course when both have the earning capacity, both are in good jobs, and both are also willing to go in wholeheartedly, both are supporting each other in terms of their finances. Then yes, by all means, go for it.
Thank you, Natalie. We have a question right now from one of our very regular viewer who's very supportive for Kopi events. Thank you, Deepam, for the question. I would definitely will ask
Hi
that to
Deepam.
Natalie.
If you
She
own
has
a
asked if
private
you,
property, can
yep,
you buy a HDB as a first timer? I need to clarify what's her definition of buying a HDB as a first timer. Okay, so usually, according to HDB, when you buy a HDB as a first timer, just like the word first timer, you've never owned a property before. I've never owned any other property before. That means I'm going in as a first timer. So I'm highlighting and emphasizing on that word.
yep.
Okay. So, and again, what type of HDB are you looking at? Whether it's a resale or whether it is a brand new flat, that means a subsidized flat from HDB. If it's a subsidized flat, which I feel it's not, but nevertheless, I'll still cover that ground. If it's a subsidized flat, then you have a waiting time of 30 months, and you may be subject to resale levy. This is a ruling that's always good to check directly with HDB. Now, if you're coming into the resale market, then yeah, no, if you own a private property, you can't buy a resale HDB. You will have to let go your private property within 6 months of owning your HDB. And I hope that answers your question.
Okay, Deepam, if you have any questions, you can definitely look for Natalie. Her contact number is over here, but just pull the number. Yeah.
So sorry, Vance, but there are a
Yeah.
lot of people who in on block deals, and
Yep.
they are doing their searches, they are doing their research, they are also trying to test grounds and find out. And especially when you're tied to an on block deal, unfortunately, you will have to know the timeline. Why I'm saying is because I literally sold a jumbo unit uh, to a buyer who had his on block from Normanton Park. Yeah, Normanton Park. Yes. So the timeline has to be very accurate because he needed that funds to put into his purchase because he wasn't taking a loan. If I recall, this was about 4 years ago. And it was a bit anxious because the funds were delayed from the en bloc, from the management. So there was a lot of writing in, there was a lot of finding out. It was quite exciting lah, I call it. And HDB timeline is very stringent. It's only 3 months, and you're tied to your seller. So it's like a chain reaction. So which is why you need a professional to not only manage the timeline but to also suck in the stress for you because it can be extremely stressful when you're expecting funds to come in to make the payment in time, and when the timeline is not met, you may not be able to take in the liabilities involved. So you need to be aware of all this before you actually jump into the process, especially when we are moving from a private property to a HDB.
Thank you, Natalie, for answering that. Thank you, Deepam, for that question. Thank you, Deepam. Always been a very number one big supporter for Kopi Advance. Okay, we are going. I mean, thank you, Natalie, for answering all these questions. That's one by one coming in. I think you enjoy doing that, and I can see that sincerity in you with a smile always. So I have one more questions. Before that, we can actually summarize it and go into the last segment. Um, I know Singapore is a very cosmopolitan, and we are welcoming all sorts of people, who can contribute. And of course, there now certain criteria are there, and always been there, since back then. Donkey, yes. But as new PRs coming in, as a new PR or employment pass, or even foreigners, are they allowed to buy property in Singapore?
As long as you have finances to prove, anyone can buy property in Singapore. You just
Okay.
need kaching money. But of
Okay.
course, there's a certain form of screening done. There's
Okay.
this anti-money laundering, AML,
Okay.
and all that. Because I'm
Okay.
sure there are some agents too there, they'll be wondering what is she talking about. Of course, lah. I mean, generally, if you got money, you can buy anything, right? But of course, there's a
Yeah.
certain form of screening to go through, due diligence checks, especially if it's a foreigner. And if you are taking a loan in Singapore, then of course the screening is a little bit more tighter. They'll be looking at your foreign income. And of course, MAS is a lot more stricter in terms of their rules right now in terms of giving out loans. So if you're able to meet all these criteria, then you know why are foreigners still buying? Foreigners are still buying. Dyson has bought. Um, so many celebrities have owned they still own properties in Singapore. I'm very bad at names, but I do know that there are a lot of celebrities in Singapore that own properties, and people are just buying. They're cashing out their money and they're putting it into safer grounds because they know the money will stay. They can still see, feel, and touch their money, in time to come.
I think in your line, Natalie, I think you always have to carry a water bottle because I think you keep on talking and talking and talking and talking.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know.
cut the
Wow,
story,
wow.
yeah.
Your profession is like, okay, cheers to that, right? Okay. I mean, it requires a lot of information and a lot of wealth of experiences in this line. And I think that, like what I said earlier on, the element must be in. It can't be a fake. You have to be going all out for them. Make sure that they get all the efforts and energy. I know sometimes when someone puts 110% and and it didn't turn out well. I mean, it's not turned into a production or revenue line. But that person remembers of you, all right? The person only remembers Natalie, Indra, because there is an impact you have created. And I think that's what I'm feeling right now. I think you have created an impact. Of course, you do all the best. You provide everything. And if someone is a bit skeptical, not thinking, well, yeah, I need to think about it. And I think the only thing they remember is you because you have created a great experience. I think that's how I feel.
That's good to hear. That's
Yeah.
really good to
Okay.
hear.
I
Yeah.
got just got one more question to come up. I think this is a very, very interesting question because um, not only particularly one group who does that, our fellow brothers. I think every religion or every race does that. I think it's a very important part. I think as a Singaporeans, we don't have race, we don't have
Oh,
religion.
let me guess. Number.
Yeah, but oh yes, yes, yes,
Direction. Ah.
yes. Oh, you remember that? Okay, I'm gonna pull up that. Where is it? Okay, which
What
direction is your
number
home
is
facing?
the unit number? Unit
Okay,
number add up to what number?
yeah,
Huh?
yeah, like fourth floor.
What is the main
No.
facing? Huh?
Okay, so okay, we come before we come back to the number. We want to go into the feng shui. Which direction with the sun comes out and then stays there and then
Let me
sunset.
check. I
Yeah.
haven't got my qualification for Feng
Okay.
Shui or Vastu.
Okay. Okay. Yep. Yep. Yep.
It's so subjective now as people are getting modern. It's not like what we think. I
Okay.
sold a unit 0444 to a
Okay.
Chinese.
Okay.
So you see, it's not what it seems to be. But of course, there are reservations which we just can't deny. So upfront, if they're just asking me for unit numbers or for direction, I'll tell them upfront. Some even ask for rentals as well. What's the door direction for rentals? And I'll tell them the rental is only 1 year. You're not staying here for
Okay.
long.
Yeah.
But that's how it is back in their culture back home. So you have to respect because at the end of it, as I said, it is a home, and a home is a lot. Only a home is what gives you a peace of mind, a good
True.
sleep, a good
Very true.
rest, and that's what basically makes you. So and I'm honestly very thankful that I'm given that privilege to help people with their homes. Like for me, I find this an extremely noble job. you know so coming back to what direction, um I'm not able to answer that question.
Okay. No,
but
but
I think,
Natalie, I just got to pause you here, Paul. But if let's say if the customer or the buyer says, okay, I want to get a feng shui master come in. I mean, do you provide that kind of
oh yeah,
solutions?
I
Oh
am
yeah.
so pro feng shui. I'll tell them, feng
Okay.
shui master, lie. I'll give you the
Okay.
floor plan. You take a look at the floor plan.
Okay.
You send the floor plan to your feng shui master because
All right.
you and your feng shui master must be happy that you are staying in this house. Then only I
Okay.
will be happy that I've made the sale or purchase for you. That's why I say
Okay.
it's more than a sale.
Okay.
And
Okay.
the minute when they say feng shui, I'll say go for it. Go for it. And there are people who just can't be bothered. Then fine. It all depends on our individuality, our individual personality. Yeah, but I do respect all these very, very much. Especially there are people who are a bit pantang, a bit skeptical when it comes to what's the owner's background, any loan sharks, any
Yeah.
divorcee, any deaths in the family. It's quite
Yep. Yep.
drama.
Yep. 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 Yep.
But this is what life is. And then on the other hand, there are also clients who will come and tell me, hey, tell me are there any good lobang, especially when divorce, they will sell cheap cheap.
Okay. 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 So we have the
You know, tell
extreme
me
part of
when
the.
tell me when there are goodbyes. Then I say, auntie, uncle, goodbyes won't last for more than a minute. It would have gone already, bye bye.
Just like
How to tell
hotcakes,
you? Yeah.
hotter
So
than
it
hotcakes.
really, really depends. But generally, what direction is your home facing? It all depends. There can even be a second floor unit, west sun, so hot. But if you turned it around and made it cozy and nice, any buyer would love it. It's just all in your hands. You
You
can
know.
make
That is sorry. Just I remember this because I got to say this, right? We know the famous Bidadari Cemetery,
yeah,
right?
you
And
see.
I'm sure it's now all sold out. Is there still
Yes,
any?
yes, Mount Vernon is a cool address.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I mean, Bishan is making money. Did
Yep.
anyone ever think it
Yep.
was a formerly a cemetery?
Yep.
Sungai Tengah is going to be the next new cool hometown, the
Okay.
eco-friendly hometown. I'm not really too sure whether Sungai Tengah has got cemeteries there, but it is
Okay.
definitely not as glamorous as what the name seems to be, right? So it's all about mindset and time to come, trending and all that. Yeah. Punggol is like the new hot town. It was once a pig's farm, right? So what? People will eventually buy it in over time. Just like how people never thought they could work from homes and now they all do. And people don't like second floor, but then there are people staying in second floor. There are people who are just so scared to take the lift that they only take the stairs. There are some people who just cannot stand second floor because of pests and only want high floors. So fair enough. So it all depends on your individual personality, but generally any direction home facing is still sellable, viable. It really depends on you. What can work for you may not work for me and vice versa.
Natalie, it was very fruitful speaking to you for 1 hour. It seems like I came for a consultation for you, for you. I mean, from you, talking about Bible. I mean, it's very. Because certain things, fortunate or unfortunately, you don't get to hear this very often. All right, sometimes when we see an advertisement, we're like, oh. But sometimes when you really sit down and talk with a person over a cup of coffee or drink like that, now I think you tend to understand the comfortability, right? The energy is very important, and make sure of course, like I said, it is all written. But if you can just do something that is out of your passion and is within you, and I think people remember you, I think that is what makes a very, very important in their life, because you are not just getting them a home, but you're getting them something that is protection
More
for
than a
their
home.
families, more than a home. So I can feel that. So I just got to thank you for spending almost 1 hour and 2 minutes with Kopi with events and explaining. And I'm sure.
And I thank you.
Thank you, thank you. And this video will be in our Facebook and all other social media platforms, which are in YouTube. There's other platforms are now still on the upcoming, so we're definitely going to be shared that as well. So we thank all the viewers. We have a very constant, steady flow of viewers who's watching us. So thank you so much, and I hope something that is you guys have understand, learn, and from our expert today who's came on board with Kopi Events, and that's my great pleasure to have her. And yeah, probably we'll talk about this after our Kopi Events and explore
Anytime.
explore opportunities. Right? You never know. Never
Happy
know.
to. Happy to. When you become rich, I become rich. Hey.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. But Natalie, is there something that you want to tell our viewers at this point of time? Anything on your that you strongly believe, or strongly you want to pass a sentence out, a meaning out that's within
I
you?
think very most importantly, especially for anyone who is buying a home, I mean, of course, if you have a very good financial background, then that's fantastic. You literally can cut to the chase and tell your professional agent what exactly you want. Whereas if you're a first timer and you are planning to buy a home for the first time, then I always will emphasize for you to do your homework thoroughly, especially your financial planning. Your calculation all has to be so intact and accurate so that when you finally make that decision, you know you are making that decision for good and it's going to last you for a long time. So that should be your objective in terms of buying a property, not just an emotional one. So always go with a logical mindset, a calculated background, so that you know you are very happy with it. And so will your professional consultant be as well.
Thank you so much, Natalie, for that statement. I think you do make a difference. And viewers are watching that. If you do ever want to get in touch with Natalie, a contact number is over there. Okay, I'm stretching out. Okay, 906. Yeah, it's easier for you to because I need to come over. It's like, okay. So it's
Oh, here, his
9067.
finger.
Point downwards. Yeah, this one. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah. 9067-8531 to
Yeah.
contact her. She's very friendly, and I'm sure
Anytime for a
she
chat.
can assist if you do have any inquiries. If not, just type in the comments, and then I'll just pass it to Natalie. So thank you so much, Natalie. We will catch up again, I'm sure. And with the 1 hour session, I did feel very comfortable for myself, and I'm very sure viewers will do that as well. And yeah, let's explore opportunities. I think that is all about us.
Thank you, Van.
Thank you so much, Natalie. We're signing off from you right
Take
now,
care.
and we will stay connected.
Will do. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye. All right, folks. This is a very interesting topic that we want to talk about: home, sweet home, and part of past 1 hour 5 minutes, where dreams come true, or dream comes home by Natalie Indra. Amazing, the kind of the way she explains very tactfully, and she's been in this industry for quite sometimes already 16 years, and humble. And she able to help you guys out if you do have any inquiries that you might have. And thank you, Natalie, Indra, for spending that almost 1 hour 5 minutes. Thank you so much. Okay, so it's back to back season. We have different topics that came in. Um, like it's always been the same. Every Wednesday is supposed to be health topic, and every Tuesday is supposed to be lifestyle. But this week, we just mixed it because we have Dr. Dinesh a little tight on Wednesdays because he has his procedures and clinic visits and so on and so forth. So that's why we did a shift. But during this phase 2, where we all should be staying healthy, staying fit, staying home as much as possible, take cover, not take cover, but protection, yeah, wear the mask and all that. I'm sure things will get better when we get evolved and stay safe, stay healthy, eat well. At this point of time, exercise all should be done at home, but eventually gyms all will open up, and then we all can start going out, start to socialize, and things can get to normal. But during this time, we all have to stay together, and that's what I always say in my Kopi events. So next week, just a teaser, we have different topics coming up again. A very great, interesting on lifestyles issues. We're going to talk about health as well, and we're going to cover up again on the next topic with Kopi events. It's my great pleasure to be with all my viewers. Thank you so much for the love and support that you're always giving me, and I'm always getting constant messages, which is very, very good to see. Which in the past 1 year, it has went to a different level. I got to agree, and that would not be feasible. That will not be able to happen if without your supports, and your viewership is very important. I know some of you have been messaging as well to come on board as a speaker, but that comes in a different opportunity because we do cover the different topics. But today's topic, where dream comes home, by Natalie Indra, one of my guest speakers today, to talk about what is all the basics in Singapore having a property, and certain things that she have actually explained very clearly. You can have second properties, or what are the things that you should look for, your income brackets, and if you have that extra cash, what you should be doing. I think these are all very important that we don't get to know most of the time. I mean, for myself, I think I'm learning, and always in different industries, I'm always learning, I'm getting involved. So I'll catch you again on next Kopi events, which is Tuesday 9 p.m. Wednesday 9 p.m. For now, signing off this. Oh, I forget to give a good shout out. I got to give this great shout out to my big buddy from Biodynamics. These earphones are amazing, right? I'm starting to love that. Okay, I'm just going to take this out, and it's actually the DT770 Pro from Biodynamics. I got to say, it's amazing. Right now, most of us are working from home. We're having conferences, we're having meetings, we are having lots of stuff. I know. Even Natalie also mentioned earlier that she sold a property over Zoom meetings and platforms. I think it's very important to get a very good earphones. I think I made the right choice. Biodynamics, a big shout out to you guys. Thank you, mate. I know you are watching. Thank you so much, Biodynamics, for getting this for Kopi events. Thank you so much. A big shout out. All right, viewers, so that's the end of the show. I will catch you again on Tuesday, 9 p.m. It's time for me to sign off. This is Vance from Kopi with Vance. Bye-bye.